Evening, everyone. It is time to get ahead of the rotation into these layer ones. And then also maybe we'll just do a little bit about SLERF again. Let's hit it. Cool. And we are back at it. We're looking at SLERF. It'll be a quick recap. But before I get started and we get into SLERF, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons, everyone. We're going to have a show coming at you every night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's the Alpha Show. We're here. My name is Joe Vizzani. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Lunar Crush. Thanks for being here tonight. Again, none of this is financial advice. We're having fun with meme coins. We're looking all over the place. SLERF on the one day, we're up 50%. I think it's been up a little bit more than that. If you are in the black, if you're in the green, if you've got to maybe pull your principal out, right? Let's have a fun. You guys keep slurping with those gains. But if you're up 100% on this thing, that's like 10 years of the S&P 500 going up, right? You got 10 years of gains in a day. Maybe it's something you want to look at, at least get a little bit out, let the rest ride be a part of that community because it's an awesome one. Just a recap also on the LP wallet that was burned. It looks like the SLERF community has partnered with LBank. Nice work, LBank, being a part of that. I'm sure it's driving them a lot of traffic over to their site, but they do have a donation address for Solana. So it looks like they've got about 3,500 Solana already received to this address. If you're keeping count at home, I think that's roughly like $600,000. So a little bit of ways to go to get to that 10 million, but that's still epic to have people donating and trying to make some people whole. I was listening last night on the Twitter space, and it sounds like a lot of the people that were part of the airdrop also were early buyers. So hopefully everyone got out all right, but wanted to do a quick recap here as this was the nail biter of yesterday, and it looks like it's leading in to today. So let's talk a little bit about L1s. Looking at the top alt rank here, I was looking, obviously SLERF's in there. We definitely have the meme coins in here as well, but I was looking at this morning, and when Bitcoin was really low, and the market was getting kind of crushed, and there was really only a couple of coins that were up. One of them was Aptos, and the other one was Stacks. And those were generally outperforming very well in the market. It wasn't like they were even or up 1%. They were up 5 to 7% when the market was just getting crushed. And so then as Bitcoin started to kind of come back a little bit, as the US market started to open, we started to see more of these layer ones coming in here with Sui and Phantom. And so, I think it's interesting. Tether literally just popped in here. I was just getting started and it wasn't here. And that's always kind of like a sell signal. So we'll see. But it's good to see that these things are starting to rotate a little bit, and we've kind of continued to see some strength in these layer ones, even though they've already had a lot of strength. You can see it popped in there. There it goes. That's a good thing. We want Tether out of there. We want to keep this rally going. So wanted to look at Aptos and Stacks, as those were the two that were really up earlier today. And starting first with Stacks, this is the max. You're going to see a chart that looks very similar to this with Aptos as well. Kind of sneaking towards some of those kind of all-time highs. But, we're going to start to be kind of breaking through some of those. And if you've been following at all with the narrative around Bitcoin L2s, there's so much infrastructure that's being built over there on the Bitcoin L2 side. I think that's why we've seen a lot of these coins start to push up. And, there's really one project and one community that's way out ahead over there, and it's Stacks. You've got Rootstock, you've got a couple others that are up and coming. There was a bunch that were just launched at Ethereum Denver. They were trying to call it like Bitcoin Renaissance and everything. So there's going to be a plethora of projects that are being launched over here, and I'll be keeping my eyes on them. But there is so much infrastructure that's being built on top of Stacks. There's even been a kind of its own little meme coin community that's been growing over there as well. But when you're looking at the entire Bitcoin ecosystem, and we're looking at a market cap of $3 billion on Stacks, 3.88, versus literally it's 100x to get to where Ethereum is at. And I know what you're thinking, like, it's not going to get there. It takes forever. Ethereum's massive. All this infrastructure is being built. But when you really think about in the narrative out there of people wanting to be a part of Bitcoin. Bitcoin has the ETF. There's money that's going to be flowing in there. Bitcoin is kind of seen as this commodity that's out there. It's, the most diversified. It's the truth machine, the uptime that's there. There's no centralization. Like, the entire community wants to be building on Bitcoin in some sort of way. And so Stacks and the community over there has done a really nice job of kind of attaching themselves to that narrative and being the place that if you're a builder for Bitcoin, you need to be building on Stacks. They even recently changed the logo to be orange, which I think is awesome. The infrastructure that's being built over there, last time in the last cycle, you did not have a Web3 wallet and a browser extension wallet where you can even hold your Bitcoin where it was easy, right? And now there's a bunch of different wallets that are being created with the Leather wallet. You've got the XWorks wallet. I think you've got Unisats where you can hold Bitcoin as well. So there's a lot that's there that's going to be unlocking the DeFi ecosystem. Stacks even has what they're calling the Nakamoto upgrade. So right now, the way that it works is the Stacks blocks are kind of tied to the Bitcoin blocks, but they're going to have these micro blocks that allow transactions to settle way faster. And, the amount of speed that it's going to increase. If you've used Stacks before, it's really exciting because it kind of opens up the door for more NFT projects, more DeFi, more action over there, more tokens being launched on top of Stacks. And so that's where it gets really, really interesting. A couple other things to mention on that side, the infrastructure, like someone like an Alex Labs, they have bridging from Ethereum where you can get over to Stacks and then Stacks to Bitcoin. Could not do that in the last cycle. Then you got things like Thorchain. I know they've got their Ethereum to Bitcoin chain as well, decentralized cross-chain infrastructure. So, a lot of these things really weren't here in this last cycle, and they're here now. And so it's a kind of really exciting time to think about, hey, are we starting to kind of move off of these highs? And when they do, are we going to push through that? Right. And so I think there's a huge upside to these in this next cycle. And a lot of the narrative is going to continue to push up. When you look at Bitcoin and you look at kind of the correlation between something like a Stacks and Bitcoin, Stacks is constantly overperforming for Bitcoin when Bitcoin's moving up. You're seeing Stacks move at a multiple of 2 or 3, whatever the percent movement in Bitcoin is. And so it's kind of got that amplifier effect of what's going on. So they've really built in the narrative there that they are the main Bitcoin L2 that's going on. So a bet on Bitcoin seems to be like a bet on Stacks, and the bullishness around the Bitcoin ecosystem or what's going on with the ETFs this year, it seems like this thing's ripe to really move. And so that's my pick for this show, along with stock Aptos. And like, I want to kind of go back and forth really quick right here, because I feel like these two charts look very similar here, where we had kind of a punch up. These are different time periods, but like this punch up here, it's like they're both kind of maxing on the top of the chart. And so it's like, do we kind of bust through these and really start to move? But the Aptos ecosystem, looking at the alt rank here, obviously we've been talking about this on all the other shows that have been on. You want to be the number one alt rank. You want to be towards the top. As that starts to happen, price seems to move along with it. You can also see increasing volume on Aptos. If we look out on a 3-month time period, let's look at social dominance. Aptos down to about 0.5%. We're looking at, it's about 1.5% of the social share. So out of all the social media content that we collect at Lunar Crush, which is hundreds of millions of posts every single day and billions of interactions, it looks like Aptos is up to almost like 1.5% of the total amount, which is huge. Looking, if I can go back here, and we'll look at SLERF from the day before. That social dominance was massive. That's 2%, and that is just an absolute fever pitch on a meme coin. Looking back, we'll go to something a little bit bigger so you guys get a little bit of an idea. Where's Bitcoin stand on social dominance? Ignore that last 0%. That's the last hour, but something like 22%, right? So that's Bitcoin's 1/5 of the market, right? So it's, if you can be in the 1 to 2% range on any project, that means that you're looking pretty solid at how many people are talking about what's going on. And then I really love to see this, especially on the 1 week, where you can see these movements where it's really, bumping up to almost 1,000 in the alt rank, which is, maybe a sell signal, and then bam, it starts to move down, and that's your buy signal, right? There's your sell signal when it moves up high. And when it moves up high, kind of the momentum is really what you're looking at. So as this moves from 651 down, you want to be in this range to say, okay, here's where I think that this thing's going to move, right? And so if we go back and we look at stacks, we're going to see probably something very similar on the 1 week, right? As soon as this starts to kind of move down, it means that social momentum is coming, price momentum is coming. And then, as this momentum goes down into 9, it's well before the move was made. So that's really what you're looking for, is trying to figure out, hey, do we have a quality social that's happening? Is the market volume picking up? And then what AltRank is just going to tell you, and you don't have to do any thinking on it, is that once this starts to move low, that's when we're probably going to get some sort of move up, where depending on how closely you're following it, that's where you can kind of catch it at those spots where it starts to move. So that's what I'm looking at this show. I think the Bitcoin L2's going to continue to push. I think all L1s are going to start to move a little bit here, as maybe we see a little bit of break in the meme coin rally, but it's really hard to say. These things keep popping up. People are super bullish. We're even looking at, Book of Memes still #1 right now. SLERF is in here. ModCoin is new to the top 10, so I have not seen that before. Maybe I'll have to do a show on them tomorrow. And then, the rest of the market, looks pretty standard for what we normally see. Pepe is here at 31. But, more L1s that are in there. Propri, that's another great one as well. So I won't go down. Up there's Hemule. We did Hemule last week. So it's still kind of moving up as well. So seems to be a meme token and L1 kind of mix as Bitcoin takes a little bit of a break, but you never know. We'll see what's going to happen tomorrow. So thank you all for watching tonight's show, the Alpha Show. I appreciate you being here. Until tomorrow. Thanks, y'all.